So here in this video, we're going to go over what I think is going to transpire throughout the rest of this week. Now, coming out tomorrow, we do have some data that can actually be kind of important for our markets. We're also going to look at hedge fund and institutional really big money positioning. We're going to look at Fintel and the 13F filings, because last I reported to you guys, the position taking in AMC was up like 600%. So let's take a look at more of those filings to see just, who might be taking on some positions in AMC, who might be selling some positions in AMC. On top of that, we're going to get into all of your other data and information you need to know on our market. So hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Let's just go ahead and get into it. So here is the 13F filings for AMC. Citigroup is a notable one that really is standout here. Their filing came out December 6th. So not that long ago. They decreased their put position by about 86%. They decreased their call position by 79%, but they increased their share position by about 1,700% to 268,000 shares. So Citigroup seems to be getting out of the options in AMC and just getting into more or less share positions, right? Or into a more share positioning. Now, Vanguard looks like they are selling out some. A lot of these that are down like 80%, 86%, a lot of those are more of a market weighting thing. AMC went from the #1 stock in the Russell 2000 at one point down to, well, not even close to that. So you are seeing a lot of like 88% decreases across the board, and that's just due to the market weighting. This is an interesting one. Comerica Bank bought 29 shares of AMC. Way to go, big. Walleye Capital, they have basically decreased their position about 80% across the board as well. Lots of selling of positions, believe that or not. Probably you believe that quite well. GTS Securities bought 72,000 shares of AMC. They also bought a brand new call position of 357,000 shares worth. So that's a bigger one. Jane Street decreased their position by about 86%. Tudor Investments bought a call position worth 46,000. GSA Capital Partners bought 72,000 shares of AMC. Advisory Services bought 127,000 shares of AMC. Renaissance Technologies, this is an interesting one because they are a quant fund. You basically cannot invest your money with them. They are very much like legacy investors that have been with them, that have gotten rich, that continue to invest their money. They bought 33,000 shares of AMC. You do have 683 Capital Management that bought 11,000 shares of AMC. Adage Capital Partners that bought 42,000 shares of AMC. Agur Capital Management that bought 257,000 shares of AMC. TIG Advisors bought 22,000 shares of AMC. Bank of America did reduce their position by about 67%. Quinn Opportunity Partners bought 18,000 shares of AMC. 0.72 sold out of their call position. 463 Capital bought 46,000 shares of AMC. Millennial Management bought 1.1 million shares of AMC. They decreased their call position and their put position by about 96% and initiated a brand new share position. Sequoia, they are one of the most notable ones as far as the bulls. Some people are very bullish on AMC. Sequoia decreased their share position by about 89%. They currently have 276,000 shares of AMC. They decreased their put position by 81%, now owning 7.4 million shares worth of their put position. Their call position, they actually increased that by about 2.3%. And now sitting at 27 million shares worth of positioning in AMC. This is a real standout here. Just the sheer amount of positioning for the upside And the fact that they did not reduce that at all. They actually added to that about 2.3%. Very interesting. Some people are very bullish on AMC. The Cubist Systematic Strategies, they bought 266,000 shares of AMC. The state of Wyoming bought 9,200 shares of AMC. Quadrature Capital bought 172,000 shares of AMC, and you guys can see a lot of these red positions are puts that were actually sold as well. Some of them are calls, some of them are shares, but a lot of them are just put positions that were sold out of, because I mean, a stock can only go to zero if AMC has went from $10, $11 down to $5, right? Then you, or $6, you can make the argument that you've exhausted all of that downside. So when you actually look at the filings themselves, the notable ones are pretty bullish. A lot of them, again, are just a lot of reductions based on market cap weighting. But besides that, quite a few of these are really, really bullish, including Sequoia, which really makes you wonder, what in the heck's going on? Now, if you guys were unfamiliar, like maybe I was, this article says AMC Entertainment Holdings stock a bad value on Monday. It says AMC Entertainment Holdings is near the middle in its sector, according to Investor Observer. AMC gets an overall rating of 10. That means it scores higher than 10% of stocks. And it's number 3 out of 11 sectors. Kind of interesting that that's a very low number. 10% of stocks AMC is better than. Yikes. Now, let's get into what's going on here on the day with AMC stock. AMC for like the entirety of the day today has been around 2% positive. Although in the beginning of trading, you did hit a new multi-year low at $6.47 per share. You're not there right now. You're at $6.79 per share. So you have, come off that low quite a bit. But still, the fact that you're hitting new multi-year lows over the past couple of days is not exactly great. Now, I do expect this great shift of capital to continue, and I think it's going to really take months for a lot of capital to get deployed into our markets. And I think that process is still currently ongoing, and I think that will help to benefit AMC. And I think just based on money coming back into our markets, AMC could double, triple, 4x from here. I don't think you're going to hundreds of dollars per share like a lot of people hope, but I do think you can get a sizable gain from here just based on capital coming back into our market. So something I am definitely waiting and watching for. If you look at TLT down about 1% today. USO up 1.67%. Earlier, USO was up over 2%, so giving a little bit of that back. The dollar's basically flat on the day, and gold is up about 0.5%. Banks overall not doing too great today, from what I can tell, but they've been having quite a good ride over the last couple of weeks. Now, if we do take a look at AMC and the option activity that we are seeing today, lots of call activity across the board. The $7 call is seeing volume of about 32,000 contracts today. The 650 put volume of 8,000, 750 put or call volume of about 20,000, $8 call volume of about 14,000. Now, if you take a look here, total call volume of 97,000, total put volume of about 40,000. So over a 2-to-1 ratio. And if you look at the total options volume, 136,000 here on the day today, with open interest at 829,000. So good percentage of volume today relative to open interest, showing that there is some new position taking odds are here today with AMC stock. Now, let's go ahead and get into the Ortex data. Keep in mind, take this with a huge grain of salt. I think these numbers are wildly inaccurate, and I think AMC stock is hundreds of percents sold short. You do have a short interest of free flow at 8.53%, $140.24 million worth of short positions currently in AMC stock. You do have 1.04 days to cover, 21.09 million shares that are currently sold short. Shares out on loan, 10.09 million. Cost to borrow, 1.18%. Utilization of 22.04%. And a short score of 49.54 out of 100. So again, just not the best numbers here. Cost to borrow average 1.18%, cost to borrow minimum 0.51%, cost to borrow max 2.32%. So definitely could look a little bit better, but I don't think these numbers are accurate at all. And if you do think those numbers are accurate and those legal numbers are the real ones, you don't want to be in a trade in AMC for a short squeeze, right? That would just not happen at that point. So keep that in mind. Now, taking a look at the volume today for the call side, 71.48%. Volume on the put side of 28.52%. So definitely some healthy numbers here for the volume, the activity in AMC stock. Open interest of 55.67% to the call side, 44.33% open interest to the put side for this week. So, not the greatest numbers there that we're used to, but still pretty good nonetheless. Now, the option activity for the day today, still, you've only seen 3 orders totaling $127,000 with a positive order value of 43%. So, definitely not the strongest day here. Over the past week, you have seen 21 orders totaling $1.66 million with a positive order value of 46%. So, I mean, just very low activity as of recently. Something I've been starting to watch pretty closely as well is on StockTwits, the sentiment gauges. So sentiment overall is bullish today at 73. Message volume is extremely low today at 19. So we want to see a lot of message volume and we want to see bullish sentiment. That would likely be a sign that a continued upside rally is likely coming. Now, as far as the 10-year treasury today, that's up about 2.5 basis points. It's not really having a broader effect on our markets. Our markets are still doing pretty good today. As you can see, the Dow's pretty flat. The S&P's up about 0.5%. The Nasdaq's up 0.71%. The VIX is up 1.38% here on the day today. Ouch, this is not exactly the greatest news coming out today, or maybe not exactly the greatest news on the economy. Only 60% of student loan borrowers made payments when bills restarted. This is data from the Department of Education. I know a lot of people did get that extension for 1 more year, but still not the greatest sign for the economy. People are still struggling out there. And the big thing to be watching for is whether or not we do go into a recession. Take a look at the Stonko tracker data. You do have in the money calls of about 9,193 expiring this Friday. Out the money calls of 65,000. In the money puts at 17,000. Out the money puts at 26,000. So a lot of call activity again relative to put activity. The narrative is definitely bullish under the surface in the options market, as well as some of those 13F filings, like I said. But AMC stock just cannot catch a break because of all of this dilution that we have seen recently. We really need a confirmation from Powell that we're not going to, or from Powell, from Adam Aaron, that we're not going to get more dilution. When that happens, AMC stock will start to perform much, much better. But we just haven't got that yet. And I don't know if we will. Something that I am hopefully optimistic about. Now, let's talk about the economic data coming out tomorrow. So tomorrow you will get the inflation rate year over year coming out for Canada. This comes out at 8:30 in the morning. Lots of PPI, CPI data for Canada. Unless we see a big move higher or lower, it's probably not going to cause a movement for our markets. But building permits come out at 8:30 in the morning as well for the U.S. This is for the month of November. You're expecting 1.47 million. Now, why this is important is because really the last area of inflation in the economy, or the big one, is in housing, right? Rents and just housing services themselves. If you see more building permits, that leads to more building, that leads to more, hopefully, inventory, that leads to lower prices. That's the narrative. So we want to see building permits come in high. If that happens, markets might be a little bit more bullish coming tomorrow. And then after markets close, you do have the balance of trade for November for Japan. That's highlighted in red as important for U.S. equity markets. And that's just because Japan is the third largest economy in the world. So go ahead and keep that in mind.